Okay, so yesterday we did solving by completing the square, but all the problems that we had yesterday, there was nothing in front of the x squared. So today I'm going to do a couple of examples with you where there is something in front of the x squared. So basically all you have to do is you have to divide so that the x squared is alone, so that a is essentially equal to a positive 1. Because you remember when we talked about the steps, we said that a had to equal a positive 1, okay? So in this problem, a doesn't equal positive 1, so I need to divide it out so that the negative 3 goes away. So what am I going to divide everything by? By negative 3. All right, so if I divide everything by negative 3, now I have x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. And we want it to be the x squared and the x on one side and the number on the other side, so I need to subtract the 3. Now I have x squared minus 4x, I'm going to leave a space to complete the square, equals negative 3. And we're going to add something to both sides. So what did we do to figure out what to add? What did we do yesterday? Cut the b in half and square it. Not double it, but square it. Okay. So half of negative 4 is negative 2. And then I square it, and that gives me positive 4. And whatever I add on one side, I have to add to the other side. All right, so now I can factor, because I have a perfect square trinomial on the left. That's x minus 2 squared. And then I have negative 3 plus 4, which equals 1. We take the square root of both sides. Remember doing that yesterday? Hopefully. And I'm left with x minus 2 is equal to plus or minus 1. Remember, you have a positive and a negative square root, so we don't want to leave out half of the answer. All right, so to get, I guess at this point we don't really need the parentheses anymore. Get rid of that. Okay, so to get x alone, I just have to add 2 to both sides, and I get x is equal to 2 plus or minus 1. So that means x equals 2 plus 1, or x equals 2 minus 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3. 2 minus 1 is 1. So x equals 3 or 1. Okay. Any questions about what I did? Okay, so I'm going to have you guys try one on your whiteboards. Is the x squared alone? No, it's not. So what do we have to do? What are we going to do? Divide it out. And if you guys want to show me steps along the way just to make sure you're doing it right, you can show me your steps along the way. You don't have to wait till the very end to show me your whiteboard. Okay, so you divided by 3, and then you got x squared plus 2x on one side and 48 on the other side. Half of 2 is 1. You square that, and you still get 1. And so you get x plus 1, the quantity squared equals 49. Take the square root. X plus 1 is plus or minus 7. And so x is either negative 1 plus 7 or negative 1 minus 7, and you get 6 or negative 8. All right, I have another one for your notes here. Oops, I didn't erase everything there apparently. Okay, so this one, we're going to start off dividing by 4. And so I have t squared minus t, I'm going to leave a little space to complete the square, equals 9 over 4 if I add the 9/4 to the other side. Did I lose anybody there? I just added the 9/4 over since I wanted the number on the other side. Okay, so I've got, in front of my t is, we assume it's a negative 1, right? And so if I cut that in half, what is it? Negative 1 over 2, right? And I'm going to square that, and it becomes a positive 1/4. So that's what I'm adding to both sides, 1/4. So this will work even if you have fractions, even though I know you don't like them. So now if I factor it, I've got t minus 1/2 squared. Because remember, when we factor it, we end up using the b that was cut in half, right? And 9/4 plus 1/4 is 10/4. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as 10/4. I'm not going to reduce it because I have to take the square root, and 4 is a perfect square, and I don't like having square roots on the bottom, so I'm just going to leave it like it is for now. And take the square root of both sides. So I get t minus 1/2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 10 over 2, because I can take the square root of 4, and so I don't have a radical on the bottom of my fraction. And then the last step is we add the half to both sides, and so t is 1/2 plus or minus the square root of 10 over 2. And you can just leave the answer like that if you want to, since we can't take the square root of 10, it's not an even number. Or if you want to, you can consolidate them. Because they're both being divided by 2, you can put the whole thing over 2, 1 plus or minus root 10 over 2. You can do it that way also. But the first way is fine. You don't have to put them together if you don't want to. Okay? Any questions? All right. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to do this problem here. It's going to have fractions, but they're not horrible fractions. You guys can do them. I know it. What's the first thing we're going to do? Divide everything by 4, yeah. What am I going to add to both sides? What do you guys think? What's half of 11? How do I get half of 11? Divide it by 2. 11 over 2. And then I square it. So what's 11 squared? 121. And 2 squared is 4. So you should be adding 121 over 4 to both sides. Does 4 go into 144, you guys? It does. It goes into it 36 times, so we can go ahead and make that 36. And then you're going to take the square root. Okay, so we get to where x equals negative 11 over 2 plus or minus 6. But those are all numbers, right? So we can actually keep going further. How could I write 6 as over 2? If I want to make it a fraction, it would be 12 over 2, right? So I could say negative 11 over 2 plus 12 over 2, or negative 11 over 2 minus 12 over 2. So you actually get x equals 1/2, or negative 23 over 2. Okay, you guys need to practice some of the easier ones again, just to remember how to do it. What do you guys think? You need a little bit more practice on these?
You have notes.
You have notes. Actually, it looks like we're running out of time, aren't we? Okay. All right, well, these will be online, so you can watch them, and you can watch yesterday's notes. It'll all be online later on today, okay?